It does look like we are live. Welcome, everyone. I wish this was one of those videos I could just laugh my way through as I normally do, but it's not. Things have gotten serious, things have gotten dangerous, things have gotten threatening, and things have gotten to a point where I'm being made to feel unsafe in my hometown, and things have gone well beyond any line that I was willing to leave it alone, not respond, not say anything. For the sake of keeping drama down to a minimum, I've told many people over the last several months that I was not going to respond, not going to respond. That's over. That is in the past. Stefani Hutchison has been horrendously stalking me. Okay. This is baby reindeer, my baby reindeer stalker, Stefani Hutchison. And guys, I'm going to make a whole case here. I'm going to cover two of her most recent blog posts with you. And I don't mean to slow roll this, but I need to present this properly. And the most egregious stalking that caused me to do this video is what I'm going to cover at the end of the video. Okay. We're going to build up to it. Here is a photo of the real baby reindeer stalker. Guys, this term comes from a Netflix show called Baby Reindeer, a true story. This is the real baby reindeer stalker. I guess I do laugh a little bit at the similarities here. Okay. Now, Stefani Hutchison, former Catholic nun, current Catholic, when she's not trolling the current Catholic Pope on Twitter, she's trolling me. Fair play. Internet trolls be internet trolls. Don't hate the player, hate the game. But Stephanie's a sick individual, and I'm not going to let this continue on. You'll see. You'll see the lines that have been crossed. Stephanie's someone who's never been in Scientology. Oh, shit. I didn't even bring my water. Oh, boy. We're in for a long one. Stephanie's someone who's never been in Scientology. The Scientology in the Aftermath show, I believe, is what brought her to the playground. And she's used her obsessive traits for good, mostly over the last several years. Usually what she sets her obsessive stalker-like abilities on is Scientology. And, you know, we got a lot of former Scientologists out here trying to take down a horribly destructive international multi-billion-dollar human trafficking cult. Stephanie's skills have been appreciated when they were being directed at Scientology. And, you know, it's one of these live by the sword, die by the sword type things. Don't think it's lost on me. But usually what she will do is analyze, you know, Scientology makes a lot of public claims in their international events about acknowledgments or recognitions that L. Ron Hubbard or Scientology has been granted by this person or that organization. And Stefani will hunt these organizations and people down, even like obscure colonels in the Venezuelan military or some shit, and confront them with the claims that Scientology is making about having their endorsement, and then getting these people to go on the record refuting, what's the word? Basically saying, we don't know anything about this. We never had anything to do with this. We don't condone this. We don't support this, and all that kind of stuff. So that's who Stefani Hutchison is. She's just someone who's been a part of the general community, setting her sights on Scientology, generally doing whatever she thinks would make either me or Mike Rinder or Leah Remini happy. Well, you know, beware of the Frankenstein monster that you create. Okay, so ever since the Aftermath Foundation and I parted ways in November of last year. Stefani has decided to focus her attention on me. And again, you kind of go, fair play. Not like I didn't have a problem with it, but it's like, okay, fine. People that, are partial to me say things publicly to defend me. People that are partial to the Aftermath Foundation folks say things to protect those folks. It's like people have the right to their opinions. They have the right to express their opinions. And this is the internet, folks. This is the game that we play. I say things that I say. People are allowed to say things that they say. So that's fine. That's sort of how it's been going. This is something with Stefani that has gradually escalated and escalated and escalated to the point where it has officially entered stalker territory. We're not talking about free speech. We're not talking about the right to criticize. We are talking about using threats, harassment, and intimidation, threatening people's businesses of non-Scientologists who have nothing to do with me, who have nothing to do with her, who have nothing to do with Scientology, to threaten them into distancing themselves from me because they're afraid of this lunatic, this psychopath, this baby reindeer stalker, and then using information or quotes from those people to try to make it seem like I'm losing friends and losing support. And it's gotten to a criminal level. It's gotten to a criminal level, and I'm going to show you the receipts of this. Okay, but like I said, I'm saving the real egregious violation for the end because I'm trying to make my case here effectively. Okay, it's going to start. Yesterday, Stefani published 2 blog posts about me. And I mean, honestly, the words to describe them is like comical, joke, gift on a silver platter. Stefani's first blog post, not stalker level. I mean, you make up your own mind. But the main point, and I'm going to share it with you, of her first blog post is, Aaron doesn't have the fucking rank to talk about Scientology. Stefani's first blog post about me, aside from bringing up my dead brother, which you're a fucking disgusting individual, okay? Her main point was, Aaron has been deceiving all of you this entire time about how important he really was in Scientology. And he's been lying to all of you about the level of his knowledge or expertise or whatever in the subject. And he doesn't really know anything about Scientology. And he certainly doesn't know anything about the Office of Special Affairs or Mike Rinder. And Aaron doesn't have the fucking rank. And you guys should all keep that in mind when you listen to anything that he says. Now, it'd be one thing if she was just expressing her opinion. Fine. What she tried to do was present this as some sort of well-researched article with actual sources and is trying to represent, it's not her opinion, she's representing things as facts. Now, this was a gift to me because you represent something as a fact, I can refute it as a fact. And this is just the setup for the second blog post that she did about me yesterday. So, I'm actually just going to take you through the blog post, guys. I'm not in any particular rush here. I really want you guys to understand the lengths that this psychopath has gone to try to make me unsafe, to try to discredit me, to try to attack me, and to try to, I guess you could say deplatform me, but I don't know if that's correct use of words there. Okay, this is her blog post, Outflowing False Data Effectively, June 3rd. So that's yesterday. I'm going to zoom in on this a bit. Starting with a quote from L. Ron Hubbard. The only way you can control people is to lie to them. You can write that down in your book in great big letters. The only way you can control anybody is to lie to them. Thank you, Stefani, for quoting L. Ron Hubbard. Okay. While Aaron Asmithlevin most likely never took the TRL course, as it was for OSA, he seems to have embraced the general idea nonetheless. All right, you guys might be wondering, what in the hell is she talking about? In Scientology, they have various communication drills. Those drills are called TRs, or training routines. There is a particular communication drill that members of the Office of Special Affairs practice doing called TRL. L stands for lie. And it is a communication drill where they practice responding to questions by journalists and stuff by lying. It's not a course. So right off the bat, Stephanie, you don't even know what you're talking about. It's not a course. It's a drill. You don't do an entire course. A course is not a training routine. A training routine is not a course. You've already started off showing anyone who knows what they're talking about that you don't have a clue what you're talking about. You're just writing through a prism of hatred. You're starting with your hatred and you're backfilling whatever you can. Okay. So whereas now, do you know who would have been a master of TRL? Not the low-level nobody Scientologist like me, who was never in the Office of Special Affairs, but the guy who ran the Office of Special Affairs, the guy whose job it was to destroy people's lives in Scientology for 20, 30, 40 years, whatever the hell it was. That is Stefani Hutchison's Lord and Savior, Mike Rinder. That's all I'm saying. I never even did TRL. To be perfectly honest, I'd never even heard of it until after I left Scientology, and people who'd worked in OSA actually told me that this thing existed, and I was shocked. Not shocked that OSA people would lie. Of course they lie. All Scientologists lie when it comes to answering questions publicly about Scientology. I just didn't know there was actually a communication drill about it. I was genuinely surprised when I found that out. Okay. We were first introduced to Aaron. When we were first introduced to Aaron, it was through Leah Remini's award-winning show on A&E. Now, I don't know who we is because I started my YouTube channel long before there was a TV show. But maybe Stephanie's just referring to the royal we. Stefani Hutchison was first introduced to me through Leah Remini's TV show. Here in the season 1 episode titled just give me a sec. I'm sorry, guys. Just give me a sec. Okay. It's hard for me to do anything that involves talking about my brother. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to try. All right. Okay. Here in the season, the entire episode was mostly about my brother. And for those of you who may not know, I had an identical twin brother who died when I was 23. And okay, you know what? I think I will bring Nora on. Hold on, Nora wants to know if I want her to join me. I'll send you a link, Nora. Okay.
episode titled Auditing. Aaron tells the story of how he and his twin brother Colin became literal prodigies, something reflected in the description of the episode. And the name of the episode was Auditing. Not that it matters to anything, you guys, but the episode that the title that the producers decided to give to this show was completely non sequitur. My brother never finished his professional auditor training. I didn't do my professional auditor training until I was 24, 25. Neither one of us were ever prodigy auditors or expert auditors, and we had nothing to do with the title they gave to the stupid fucking TV show. Okay. It was called Auditing. And in the description of the show, it says Aaron Asmithlevin and his twin brother Colin were prodigies at Scientology's spiritual counseling practice known as auditing. Now, that is simply a false statement. That is a result of the producer's lack of understanding of Scientology. And all right, I'm going to bring Nora on.
Hey,
Hey,
little brother. This is a lot. You guys, I'm so proud of Aaron right now for even talking about this, okay? Because I know he's explaining to you guys the loss of his brother, but you have to understand that this is the largest loss of his life. This is not something that he ever talks about.
Yeah.
And this is not the first time that Colin has been weaponized to hurt Aaron. So this is, in my personal opinion, beyond reproach, beyond I don't like Aaron. This is something far more sinister to continue to do this to him like that.
Oh no, has my microphone been screwed up the whole time?
You're all right. You're all right.
Guys, live chat. Microphone literally been screwed up the whole time. I have to know. Oh boy. Okay.
You're all right.
I just saw someone mention it. Thank you. Okay, good. It wasn't messed up the whole time. And here's the thing. The whole blog post is not about Colin. I just have to get past this part, okay?
Yeah.
The rest of it will be normal. Okay. And Nora, you would agree. This description of the TV show is just careless. It's got nothing. Colin, when he was kicked out of Flag, was on his level 2. Colin never even did his auditor training.
No,
but we'll get into that.
Like, she clearly doesn't have all the data.
She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about.
No, she doesn't even know how the training went, what we went through there, or anything. It's just general, like, oh, he was just a failure. You're like, not really. No, that's not.
Yeah,
that's not accurate at all.
Okay, so we'll get into this. Colin, in the beginning, a veritable golden child in Scientology when he became the first person to ever master the E-meter technique at the age of 14. I mean, what a stupid statement. First person to ever master the E-meter at the age of 14. Colin was doing his professional E-meter course in 1994.
Yeah.
And Scientology's been around since 1950, 54. The E-meter's been around since the 50s. And what Stephanie doesn't know, because she's just an uninformed psychopath who does whatever she thinks makes her masters happy, is that in 1994, David Miscavige invented something that he decided was going to revolutionize Scientology auditor training. He created the most thorough course on how to use the E-meter. It was called the Professional E-meter course. Back then, it wasn't even a course. It was called the Flag E-meter Program Pilot. And it was just the first time any such course had been put together. And Miscavige intentionally made it essentially impossible to finish by having it be so long and have the standards be so high that it was almost intended to be impossible to finish. Now,
Yeah.
it just so happens that my brother was the first person to finish that course. Okay, that's all it was. And yes, that made him an absolute freaking superstar on the Flagland base. David
But as we said
Miscavige held him
yesterday,
up.
anything that can be statusized in Scientology is statusized. You know,
Yeah,
you could be the
exactly.
first person to have thought of using a fly swatter to kill flies inside the organs. Like this person revolutionized bug handling on the Flagland base. And you're like, I just got a fly swatter. It's not that big a deal.
That's right. And there were other people doing the same course at the same time, including Serge Del Mar. Okay. This is when, you know, me and my brother first met Serge and a lot of the other people that we came to know from Flag, including a couple years later yourself. Okay. So then what happened is, and then Colin floundered when David Miscavige changed the course to become longer and more difficult, which is true. Everyone who had finished the course on the first version of the course was made to go back and do the second version of the course. And Colin could not get through that version.
No, it was nearly, guys, just as a note, this is no knock on Colin. It was nearly impossible for people who had literally just finished the old course to complete this new course. And people then got stuck on it for like a year. To the point where when I came, it was on my checklist of things to do, and they took it off for time so that we could get trained and fire out in time, because there was no way we were all going to make it through the metering course.
That's right. By the time Nora and I were at the end of our training program and Miscavige desperately needed all of us to be done, he was basically like, psych, bitches, no one's doing this course.
Right?
Okay. But the point is, anyway, there's not even any point. The point is just Stephanie just doesn't know what she's talking about. It's not even terribly relevant to the article. Okay. So yes, eventually Colin struggled on this course. He got involved with that whore, Jill Saperstein. She started buying him porno mags, taking him to the mall, taking him to the movies. And these, to a kid at Flag at that time, these were like the biggest crimes possible.
Yeah.
This is normal teenager stuff.
Remind everybody how old you and Colin were then.
Well, at that point, it maybe would have been 14 years old, 15 years old.
Correct.
Like, that's normal behavior.
But you had an adult doing this to your brother.
Jill was an adult. Yeah, Jill was an adult. She's a predator. Jill Saperstein. And she's a child predator. And she predated on my brother.
Yes.
And contributed to his delinquency and basically got him to do things that when the authorities found out would cause him to be sent home.
Right. Because he's the bad guy. He did it to her.
Yeah, that's right. And Colin knew this, and he knew what the consequences would be, and he was terrified of being humiliated in that way. And so he blew. At 14 years old, he called my dad in Minnesota and said, I don't want to be here anymore. Can you send me money for a plane ticket? And he just disappeared to Minnesota. And then my mom and other people had to go and convince him to come back. And then he came back, and then he eventually finished the course and he started his auditor training. And then right when we were about to start the main training program, David Miscavige decided that anyone who was on the training program who had previously blown was not qualified to stay there. So even though Colin was doing well on his training at that point, it was deemed that he was a member of the group of people who were no longer qualified to be there. And he got sent back to Philadelphia as a 15-year-old kid to fend for himself without any parents or anything. And that's a whole other story. Okay. So it says eventually Colin's struggles and demotion led him to leave Scientology. Okay. Asmithlevin claims that with Colin removed from Scientology, he became the superstar, and he was now the first person in the world to finish the training. There's like 4 inaccuracies in that statement. First of all, Colin wasn't removed from Scientology. He was sent from Flag back to the Philadelphia org to be the course supervisor.
Right.
Also, there was no such thing as the superstar.
No.
I think I said I became a superstar. On this training program, the 4 people for the supervisor side of it, because you were on the word clear side of it, right? It was me, Edward DiMartino, Anthony Kovacevic, and Daniel Oakley, who were like the 4 that were ahead of the rest. And we were sort of competing with each other to see who could finish first.
And Justin, Justin was in there.
Justin who?
Farmer.
Oh, well, there was a whole bunch of people in the mix. But as far as the twin,
top 4.
Well, because there were twin ships. Like me and Edward were twins, and Daniel and Anthony were twins. And Daniel Oakley was from Austria, Vienna org, and Anthony Kovacevic was from AOSH Anzo.
Right. And on the word clear side, it was like me and Greg, and I'm trying to remember who the other 2 word clears were. Me and Pookie.
That's right.
You know, and so it was like we got, and then eventually we were like training everybody. We ended up training the rest of the people. Like once we got trained, it was like, now you do, and you train the people, and we had to train all the flag people and stuff like that. So yeah, in that essence, you were a superstar because we had the entire flag training evolution on our backs.
I mean, after me and Edward were a twin ship. And the only reason I say I was the first is because me and Edward were very competitive, and we were on our way up to the examiner. I just ran up the stairs faster than that bitch because he's not very athletic.
No,
and I was like,
that's not fair.
There's no way after all this you're attesting to the course before me. No, so the truth is, me and Edward finished the course at the same time, but I beat him to the examiner. And so then after we did that, they literally brought us to the next flag staff meeting and had us speak to the entire fucking base on stage. About how great the golden age of tech was and all this shit. And the point here isn't, I don't give a fuck about this status. It was just a part of the story that I told on the Aftermath show.
Right.
Because it relates to the stuff with my brother, you know? And she's trying to break it down like it's some, I don't know, scandalous claim or something like that. Oh, also, she doesn't understand when it was first person in the world to finish the training. She doesn't know enough because she's a fucking moron. Who doesn't, which I don't expect any Scientologist to know it to this level of detail, but someone who doesn't know it to this level of detail shouldn't be writing blog posts claiming to know it to this level of detail. Correct. Stephanie doesn't know the difference between the E-meter course, the academy levels, and the golden age of tech supervisor training that we were doing. Why would she know? But why would she be writing blog posts like this either?
Right. You know? Claiming that she does. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So my brother was only the first person to finish the flag metering pilot program. And I was the first person to finish the new special Hubbard course supervisor course, golden age of tech,
Hubbard special course room flag only special course room supervisor course.
Something like that.
That's what our certificate said, guys. It's really stupid.
Something like that. So baby reindeer psycho Stephanie says Aaron Smith-Levin was a trained auditor, one of the most important positions in Scientology. How stupid can you be? When I finished my flag training, I was not a trained auditor. Nope. I did not do my auditor training until I joined the Sea Org as an adult. I did my auditor training like the last year that I was in the Sea Org. And I didn't even do my auditor training because I was going to be an auditor. I did my auditor training because it was a prerequisite to being the cramming officer.
Correct.
But Stephanie wouldn't know this. Why would she? She wouldn't. But why would she be writing blog posts like this? Because she's a fucking psychopath stalker is what she is. But you'll see, 100%. We're getting there, guys. Okay. Perception is everything. And for people unfamiliar with the various positions and duties of Sea Org members, like me, it is easy to misrepresent what one actually did. So here's what's interesting. She's basically just admitting that she herself has never truly understand what my role was in Scientology. And I guess when someone finally just explained it to her recently, I guess, she decided that I was the one who had misrepresented the facts instead of just realizing, no, you're the one who just never understood this because why would you? Okay. It's easy to misrepresent. For people unfamiliar with the various positions and duties of Sea Org members, it's easy to misrepresent what one actually did. I've never misrepresented any part of my Scientology experience in any way, shape, or form ever. I mean,
what would be the
and that's
point
honestly,
of that?
Well, it's one of the reasons that people like my videos. I don't talk about how important I was or wasn't. Actually, to be honest, I do tend to talk about how important I wasn't. I don't say that the reason you should watch my videos is because I worked with David Miscavige, or I rode on the back of Tom Cruise's motorcycle, or I let David Miscavige beat the shit out of me 100 times. Or like, there's nothing. The reason my story is interesting is because thousands of people have stories like mine.
Yes.
It's not interesting because 5 people have stories like mine. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right. In the years since Aaron Asmithlevin left Scientology, he has positioned himself as having trained other auditors during his time in Scientology. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Okay. Such a duty would seem to be an extension of his very important work as an auditor. No, it wouldn't, only to a moron like you who doesn't know what you're talking about. Not only do you not have to be a trained auditor to be a course supervisor and train other auditors, L. Ron Hubbard says you shouldn't be.
Yeah. L.
Ron Hubbard says that to be the best, most effective course supervisor possible, you should not yourself be a trained professional auditor, because you will inject your own professional, personal biases into how the procedure should be done instead of just using your study tech tools and word clearing tools as a course supervisor. Now, Stephanie wouldn't know this. Why would she? She wouldn't. She's a moron, but she also shouldn't be writing blog posts about this.
No.
All right. Given Asmithlevin's dramatic portrayal as being a hotshot superstar auditor, again, just a complete false statement. Okay. Not even in the show did they ever say I was some hotshot auditor or even an auditor. They never once in the Aftermath show said I was an auditor.
No.
Okay. Now, Stephanie's going to go, but why did they call the TV show auditing? I don't fucking know. Do you think I come up with the names of the episodes of the TV show? You fucking psychopath. Okay.
No, that was up to Mike and Leah. They named the episodes, P.S.
But honestly, it might not even have been up to Mike and Leah, if we're being honest. I mean, really?
Well, I would say having worked on the back end in season 2, Leah and Mike pretty much named the episodes, and then they would do interviews based on that theme. So, yes. They came up in a brainstorm. It was probably equally Mike, Leah, and the director.
I got it. And honestly, it was probably just for simplicity's sake. Like, what else were they going to call it? Course supervisors? Or were they going to call it Aaron's dead brother? Like, what are they going to call? What are they going to Colin Asmithlevin? Like, who cares what the name of the episode is?
Right.
You know,
no, it doesn't matter.
Okay, given Asmithlevin's dramatic portrayal as being a hotshot superstar auditor, a never in like myself would reasonably assume that his ability to train stems from experience as a gifted auditor. Yeah, well, Stephanie, that would be an assumption that you made because you're a moron. Okay. The reality is quite a bit different. According to several of Aaron's former seniors, and by the way, you and I, Nora, both know that she's about to quote Chris Shelton.
Yes. Who, by the way, P.S., P.P.P.P.P.S., was not your senior.
He was not my senior, but Stephanie wouldn't know that. Why would she?
Senior.
I know.
He worked at guys. He worked at the Folo, which is essentially like an outside
too much. That's
basement.
too much into the weeds. That's too much into the weeds.
I'm just giving the simplistic. It's an outside basement. He was a paper pusher for middle management. He did nothing. Moving on.
Chris's job was to sit behind a computer and send telexes saying, "Why won't you answer me?" Okay. Basically. But we'll get there. Get there, because here's the thing. I don't have any intention to denigrate anyone's role in the Sea Org. The truth is, whether Chris Shelton, no matter what he did in the Sea Org, his experience is just as valid as any of our experiences.
Yes.
But to portray him as my senior, is not accurate. But we'll get
It's not even close to accurate.
Right. Exactly. Especially since Chris did a lot more in the Sea Org than just that one post that we're talking about.
Correct.
Okay. According to several of Aaron's former seniors' bosses, now out of Scientology, there's no one else out of Scientology who ever had any position of seniority directly over me than Chris Shelton. So I don't know who they're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. According to several of Aaron's former seniors' bosses, now out of Scientology, there's a question of whether he did his internship after completing the auditing courses. No, I didn't do an internship. I've never claimed to have done an internship. It's never been a part of my story because it's irrelevant. I was never an auditor.
Correct.
When I did my auditor training, it wasn't so that I would be an auditor. It is because it is a prerequisite to doing the cramming officer course.
Correct.
And the prerequisite specifically says you only have to be a provisional class 4 auditor. Not
why would you do it? Why waste your time on the internship then?
You would never. I never even started the class 4 internship.
And also, no one in the org would have let you do the internship anyway, because it would mean more time before you started your post.
That's right. That's right. But you see, here's the thing. Whoever, we know that she's talking to Chris Shelton. she might have asked Chris Shelton, would Aaron have done his internship? And Chris would have honestly answered, probably not. But Chris probably would have given her enough information to know why that wouldn't matter. Like, don't you think?
He
like
knows,
Chris would at least
enough
be like,
information to know that for sure. Yeah.
What's that?
He knows enough information to know the prerequisites for a cram off and like what you would or wouldn't have been required to do. Absolutely. He has that experience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know he knows enough, but I just feel like he would have given Stefani that information.
Yeah.
Like, because here's the thing. Stephanie's about to make Chris Shelton look like more of a moron than he makes himself look like. I feel like it would have been in his own best interest to not just give Stefani the one answer she was asking for, but to explain the context. I feel like Chris would have explained the context, and Stefani just chose not to put it in the article. That's my bias. I don't know. What do I know, Nora? We grew up in a cult.
We grew up in a cult.
Okay, so there's a question of whether Aaron did his internship. No, there's no question, Stefani. I definitely never did my internship, and I never would have, because I hate auditing people. It was so difficult for me to even get through my academy levels because I despise auditing people.
It's bad. It's not fun.
It is not fun. Okay. Without the internship, the training certificates expire after 1 year, and thus the person is no longer qualified as an auditor. My pearls!
Oh, no. Aaron, did you know you're not qualified as an auditor anymore? You can't do that.
It ain't
stop
so.
Trying to audit people for money on the side.
Oh, God. All right, let's get back to Martha's fucking psychopathic drivel here. Searching the database of names on Xenu.net, which admittedly may not be complete, Aaron Asmithlevin has no auditing courses listed. Who gives a shit? Guys,
no, but what you do have listed, and what she's so stupid she doesn't understand, this is everything to become a supervisor, guys. This is everything you have to do to become a fully hatted supervisor, including the internship, dum-dum, that you did do.
Well, here's the thing. Stefani likes to present herself as some sort of a researcher, but here's the information that was right in front of this moron psychopath's face that she could have figured it out or asked someone. Yeah. People only end up in this database when their names appear in a magazine.
Correct.
I did my academy levels as a Sea Org member when I was in the senior HCO training pool in ASHO. Whose magazine was I going to appear in?
In those days, they weren't publishing Sea Org members' names on purpose because they didn't want people to see what staff members were doing. But then as numbers declined over the years, they started publishing Sea Org members' completions in all these magazines because they didn't have enough public people to publish. So back when Aaron and I were doing all this training, we definitely weren't in any magazines, including the Celebrity Magazine completion section, the ASHO magazine, what was that called? The Auditor? That's the magazine you guys did?
I think so.
I think so. The Auditor, or AO's, magazine. Every org has its own little publication that they put out, and part of the back section is the completions for that month. And so, of course, they're not going to include staff members or Sea Org members in that.
Gross. That's right. And the other thing is that she, in her brilliant researcher mind, should have asked the question, what is all of this source? Why does it say source? That's because that's the magazine from Flag, you psychopath moron. I did all my auditor training in Los Angeles. What you should have asked is, where's the magazine from Los Angeles, and would Sea Org members be in it? You total idiot. Anyway, I just like it's cathartic to call her name.
No, please do. Let it out.
She's such a degenerate fucking psychopathic stalker. Okay, so here we go. What Aaron actually was, according to his former seniors, by the way, also according to Aaron himself, was a trained course supervisor. Well, that's interesting. Now, I hate it when people talk about their Scientology bona fides like somehow they matter. But since Stephanie's saying I was only a course supervisor, I was a pro course supervisor. I was a pro word clearer. I was a trained class 4 auditor. I was a trained cramming officer. I'd done the elementary data series evaluators course. I had done staff status. Everyone does staff status 1 and 2. I had done OEC's Vol 0 and 4. And guess what? None of that shit matters because that's just stupid cult shit. I did Key to Life and Life Orientation
course. You're a professor. You're a professor of Scientology.
Well, I never did the primary rundown because they weren't letting anybody do that.
Right. Well, they
Yeah.
made that an exception though, because they weren't delivering it anymore. So if you did all the other
That's
things,
true.
technically you're a
So
professor.
technically, I was a professor of Scientology.
Me
But you'll
too.
never hear me in any one of my videos ever talk about stuff like that because it makes us sound like morons. Those are stupid cult titles that nobody cares about, including me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be like, how dare you, Stephanie? I was a missionaire 3rd class. Sea Org. Stephanie.
I was like, too. Get it straight. Call me sir, Stephanie.
Put some respect on my name. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
God.
So let's hear Stephanie's dissertation about what I really was in Scientology, and I don't have the fucking rank to be as well known and liked on YouTube as I am, and you guys should keep that in mind. Okay. A course room consists of many students all studying different things. Each course room has a theory course room and a practical course room. Theory is for reading and studying. Material practical is for practicing. Aaron's job was to help people get through their studies, called check sheets. The check sheets themselves, as the person goes through the steps, is what teaches them to become an auditor. Let me educate you, you stupid fucking moron, that I was a course supervisor at the Philadelphia org.
Right.
When I joined the Sea Org, I was the technical secretary over the 3 divisions of Division 4, all of the course rooms, all of the professional auditing, and all of the logistics to facilitate the course rooms and the auditing.
Correct.
It's the largest division in the org. I probably had 100 people under me, and you'll never hear me say that because it doesn't matter. It's not what makes my voice valid on YouTube. It's not what makes me a good storyteller. It's not what allows me to help other former Scientologists get their own platforms and voices on YouTube. It's not what makes me special, like your Lord and Savior, the board members of the Aftermath Foundation. Okay?
Yeah. No.
All right. Nobody cares what your fucking job was in the Sea Org. Okay. Aaron was a trained supervisor, and he knew his way around an e-meter. Just like Stephanie knows a way around. No, I'm just kidding. I won't do that.
We're going to keep it PG here, kids.
Not a lot of auditing experience, in other words. Guys, one of the most interesting parts of my story is how I was a dyed-in-the-wool, true-believing Scientologist for as long as I was, while hating receiving auditing and hating giving auditing. It's an amazing study in cognitive dissonance and cult mind control.
Yeah.
I have always said that I received almost no grade chart auditing. I received a ton of sec checking. I received a ton of correction lists, L1Cs, L4 BRBs, CS53s, sec checks, verification of lists, quad roots and overts. I received so much repair auditing. I was considered a no gain case. Okay.
Wow.
Because auditing is something I never wanted to do. And because it was something I never wanted to receive, it was something I never wanted to give. You absolute mental degenerate. Like, here's the thing. Anyone who watched my videos would already know these things about me.
Watch any one of them.
Yeah. Okay. Aaron did not have to be trained as an auditor to be able to train other auditors. It simply isn't a requirement. Okay, I'm going to skip through some of this. In essence, Aaron was just a glorified classroom monitor.
Wow.
Students in the course rooms actually taught themselves. Look, she's insulting teachers. Those, you know the famous quote, right? Those who can't do teach.
Can't do teach. I called that out when I read this blog post. I was like, now we're going to throw teachers. Like, what's wrong with you? I love teachers. Thank you to all the teachers out there, like, for, first of all, taking care of my kids and all the kids. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, I'm guessing this next quote comes from Sonny Pereira, by the way. Okay. Those who can't do.
Shit. I hadn't even thought about Sonny telling this story.
And see, Sonny wouldn't know where I spent my time because Sonny's locked up in the case supervisor office the whole time she's on post. Sonny only ever sees me when I walk into her office.
Correct.
Okay?
Which, by the way, just for behind the scenes real quick before you get to this gobbledygook here, a case supervisor, guys, is literally, their office is called an ivory tower. You are not.
I don't want to get into all this right now, though.
Just real quick, you're not supposed to disturb a case supervisor unless it's super urgent. So if Aaron went to go meet with Sonny, it would be something of high urgency during her day in her office. It's not just a, hey, what's up? How you doing? Kind of a thing, like ever, because they need to be fully focused on turning out and making sure all the tech is happening correctly. So Aaron would have wanted her to be in a quiet space doing her job and would have been bopping away any shit to allow her to do that. So for her to now say some bullshit is like, wow.
Oh, that's right. But honestly, Sunny's had it out for me ever since I started publicly calling her the only sex predator I ever knew in Scientology. So I don't blame Sunny for not liking me and contributing to negative articles, but Sunny was kicked out of Scientology because she couldn't stop having sex with the people she was supposed to be auditing. So when Sunny starts criticizing people here and there and everywhere, I go, you're literally the only sexual predator I've ever known in Scientology. So please go take a seat in the back. Okay. No. All right. Yeah. Okay. And she continued to harass some of her victims even after she and her victims left Scientology. So Sunny, you are what you are. I will always call you the only sex predator I ever knew in Scientology, and I'll never stop saying that about you. Okay. One person who knew Aaron explained he was a division head at ASHO. He ran the whole tech delivery area. Now, if the person Stephanie's quoting in her own article is explaining that I ran the whole tech division, then why did she just spend 3 paragraphs calling me a glorified classroom monitor?
Because she doesn't even proofread her shit.
She doesn't even know how these dots connect. Okay. No. So he was rarely around in the course rooms, even though he was a trained supervisor. As soon as I saw this article, I sent it to Louis Repetto, because Louis Repetto is the only person I know who actually worked with me at ASHO in the tech division, who's out of Scientology now. And Louis said he was going to be more than happy to come on here and do this with me, but he wasn't going to be available until later in the day, and I couldn't wait. I wanted to get on here. I was in the course rooms all the time. That's where I was comfortable. Not that it matters, but I wanted Louis Repetto to come on here to show that even the sources that Stephanie claims to quote, her sources are just completely wrong. That's why I wanted Louis to come on here, and we might do a follow-up with him. Okay. He spent the HGC, guys, is where all the professional auditing occurs. Okay. He spent all his time in the HGC where auditing is delivered. Oh, no, this is Chris. This is Chris Shelton.
So how would Chris, first of all, Chris wouldn't even know because he was never inside of ASHO.
Chris wouldn't even know because the people who work in the Continental Management Office are forbidden from physically entering the buildings of the service orgs. That's why we said his job, even though he was just across the street from me, his job was to sit in front of his telex machine and be like, how come you're not responding to my messages? Because he wasn't allowed to come over and talk to me.
No, not unless they're on a mission. And that is an exception, but Chris wasn't. So, yeah.
Okay, so I was his opposite number in management. I got to be honest, I can't believe Chris used that Scientology language to describe his job. Nobody knows what that means. Nobody knows what that means.
But also he's trying to make himself more important.
Yeah, what it means is that Chris's job was, his job was the assistant technical aide for the West US. So just like my post title was technical secretary, which meant I was over Division 4. Chris was the continental representative for all heads of Division 4 in the West US.
Except for
except for CC. Chris was senior to me.
Correct.
But he was not my senior. My seniors are the people who are in my organization who I report to. I did not report to Chris Shelton.
Correct.
I did not talk to Chris Shelton. Chris Shelton did not issue me orders. What he would do was send me telexes asking if I had done the program target in the program that David Miscavige wrote. And then I would, as would every other Sea Org member, ignore all of his messages because we were too busy trying to do our jobs to answer their stupid messages. Right.
These stupid compliance reports. Jesus.
Okay, he ignored every single order and direction I ever gave him.
Probably true.
I promise you, if I was ignoring him, so was everyone else.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like he was assigned to you and you never did anything he said.
Yeah, he routinely blew off everyone's orders. He was also physically abusive and got into fights with the captain of his org and others there. Well, that's not even worth commenting on. This description rang a bell, and out of curiosity, I sent a Scientology made video to one of Aaron's former bosses. Now, here's where I no longer have any idea who she's talking about. None of my former bosses are out of the Sea Org, are out of Scientology. So I don't know who this is.
Yeah.
Well, and the girl in the video,
the foundation tech sec?
Juliana Shape.
Mm-hmm.
I forget her maiden name.
So that's
Juliana. She was one of my best friends. No, so Julian, I was the Tech Sec Day. She was the Tech Sec Foundation. She was one of my best friends in the Sea Org.
No, she was awesome.
She was amazing, and we worked in the same office together. Our desks were apart from each other, and she's one of the Sea Org members who did a hate video saying how I never did anything. I hid in my office all day. If I ever left my office, it was just to scream at someone and go back into my office. Oh, and then she said, and I never cared that my brother died. That's the other thing that Juliana said. Okay. So Stefani found the video Scientology had Juliana do about me, and then sent that video to someone that she claims was my former boss in the Sea Org.
Right.
And by the way, you notice that even Chris Shelton, that giant fucking pussy, isn't even willing to name himself in this article. Do you think they said don't name me, or do you think Stephanie is just trying to make it seem like a well-researched and not like?
Oh no, I think he said don't put my name in it, because every time it's like if he invokes one of our names, we're like Beetlejuice, and then we just nuclear bomb him on the internet, and then
he's like, I don't want Aaron to punch down on me.
No punching down, guys. It's so mean. And like, just for the record, again, publicly, Chris, you were invited to come sit with us outside at the cult conference. I invited you personally. So did Liz. So did Alex. So did Katherine Olson, who shat all over you in this article. They're perfectly fine to sit with us and drink beer at a cult conference. But as soon as we're not all together talking in the open, it's back to arrows in the back. So I'm the same person I am here and I am in real life. If you want to be cool with me, we can be cool. It's all good. But don't pretend to be cool and then do shit like this, Katherine. I'm talking.
By the way, we're really just killing time. This is a setup for the real stalker behavior, which comes. This is not what I even characterize as stalker behavior. When I first saw this article, I was like, "Oh, this is amazing! This is a great opportunity to do a video." It's the next article that crossed, in my opinion, criminal lines. But we'll get there fast, guys. That's why I'm going to speed up here. Okay. So someone says, Juliana, in that video that you sent me, I remember her. She had the counterpart job of Aaron. Again, I think she's quoting Chris again, but pretending it's a different person.
Maybe,
The org had because no one says counterpart. Okay.
No.
It's interesting that she talks about him always hiding in his office, except when starting a conflict. I tell you, he's really a pussy. Yeah, this is Chris Shelton again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Aaron Asmithlevin was a course supervisor. She just quoted Chris Shelton as saying, I was the technical secretary.
She can't keep her story straight. Okay. Also, by the way, Chris is incredibly short and tiny. He's shorter than me, just for the record. And I'm 5'5". So.
Aaron Asmithlevin was not in OSA. Yeah, like anyone ever thought that I was. Aaron was not in OSA, and though he was considered an org executive, that did not make him privy in any way to what any of the higher-up executives in the Office of Special Affairs knew, did, or what information they were privy to. Let me explain something to you, Stephanie. Everyone in Scientology knows what the Office of Special Affairs does.
Thank you.
We may not know what they're actually doing on a day-to-day basis, in which case they're doing it, or whose trash they're going through, or what lawsuit they're involved in. We know what OSA does. Every Scientologist does. Okay, and there is absolutely no way Asmithlevin can speak with any authority about what any member of OSA was involved in, nor when have I ever claimed to speak with authority about what any individual member of OSA has done.
I'm going to go with 0.00 times.
Yeah, never.
Yeah, never.
Okay. Take the case of Chris Francis. Why the fuck is she talking about Chris Francis?
Why bring Miriam and Chris Francis into this? What the hell does this have to do with the price of fish in China? Nothing.
So basically, I think, and I'm going to, because I'm trying to speed this along here a little bit. She's basically going to make the argument that if Mike had been involved in covering up Miriam Francis's child sexual abuse, I would not have known about it. Guess what? You are absolutely correct. And I have never once claimed to have any knowledge of any involvement Mike Rinder had in anything to do with Miriam Francis. And I don't know how you could ever be confused about this. Okay. Okay. Not even, okay. This is where, you know, Stephanie's just gone off. She's just lost it. Not even Sea Org know exactly what OSA does, thinking it is a PR department.
Incorrect.
Stephanie, the OSA is in the Sea Org. What are you talking about? All Scientologists, public, staff, and Sea Org know that the Office of Special Affairs is involved in legal, fair gaming, lawsuits. They don't just think it's a PR. I mean, my stepdad, my mom, when I was still in Philadelphia, my mom was married to the director of special affairs of the Philadelphia org, Bruce Thompson. He would announce at staff meeting the people the Scientology critics he was assigned to harass, because he would use he would make a general business announcement about the latest enemy of Scientology they had taken down. And he'd be like, oh, we got the goods on him. I can't tell you what it is, but believe me, it's juicy. Yeah. Like, what? Okay. This statement though, not even Sea Org know exactly what OSA does. Oh, like, everyone in Scientology knows what OSA does.
Absolutely. Okay. They brag about it at several events.
Yeah. Okay. So Aaron was a trained course supervisor who allegedly spent as much of his time avoiding his responsibilities and involved in drama as he could. At the end of this video, we're going to revisit this idea of using Scientology's own videos as a source of information to try to attack former Scientologists with, because we're going to play the Uno Flippy Reversey card on Stephanie and see how this works. Okay. Aaron was in no position to know what anyone in OSA was doing, nor can he speak with any authority on the lives, experiences, or failings of any other Scientologist. Stephanie, guess what? Every Scientologist can speak with authority on the lives and experiences of other Scientologists. And I've never claimed to know what specific people in OSA, like, yes, there were specific people in OSA, like my stepfather, who I specifically knew what he was doing. I've never claimed to know have any information. I've never done videos about people in OSA. The only OSA videos I've done are the ones using Mike Rinder's own documents that show he was involved in helping cover up child sexual abuse by Scientologist Michael Barber. I've never claimed to know any of this stuff from firsthand experience. Okay, it would be best to consider this whenever Aaron or his followers are enacting Aaron's threat to out and expose anyone he feels is not doing enough. Okay, this is something that they've started to say about me, that I've threatened to expose under the radar Scientologists who I don't think is doing enough. This is insane.
Incorrect.
I have said not under the radar people. But if you are someone who is out of Scientology, legitimately out of Scientology, not under the radar, and you are someone like Angie Blankenship, who we know knows where the bodies are buried, and you're not cooperating or helping to expose the information, be prepared to become a star of SPTV. We're not threatening to out under the radar people.
Never.
Anyway.
Never, ever, ever. Because that would be, first of all, guys, that would be completely counterproductive, because leaving any cult, any high control group is a process. Okay. Some people run out. Some people take a long time to deprogram themselves, and they sit here and watch content like ours and things like that. So we have never been like, you know what, Joe, you know who I'm talking to right now. If you don't start piping up, we're gonna dox you. Like, that has never happened. We've only ever been the complete opposite of like, here's help, call this number, totally anonymous, no one's gonna tell your family, and we're gonna help you. It's the complete opposite. So that's just gross.
Okay, so this is the last two paragraphs, and then we'll get on to the real dirt.
All right.
Okay, two notes. One, considering that it is questionable whether Aaron actually audited anyone, I was wrong when I wrote that he may be hiding his own instances of covering up crimes discovered during auditing sessions. Oh, I forgot. This whole blog post was her way of having to correct an earlier blog post she wrote about me, accusing me of covering up crimes.
Correct.
Of all the people I audited, and that I've been accusing others of covering up crimes, but really, I'm the one who was covering up crimes. And she couldn't just come out and say, I made a mistake. Aaron was never an auditor. She had to come out and say, Aaron has been lying to everyone about his involvement, and that's why I thought he was an auditor.
Right. Aaron fooled me, guys. I was fooled.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
And then she goes, it now occurs to me, oh, this is where she gets fucking disgusting. She starts Heather's been bringing my wife into this. She's been bringing Jenna Miscavige into this. She's been bringing Jenna Miscavige's family members into this. And she's even been bringing my kids into this.
Yeah.
it occurs to me now to wonder if part of Heather's reticence to appear on Leah Remini Scientology in the Aftermath was because she knows the truth and did not want to be in a position to say anything about it, or Aaron did not want her to be in a position to say anything about it. Well, the stupidity of that statement is belied by the fact that you're calling the truth that I was never anything important in Scientology.
That's
like, yeah, you are so aggressively stupid and hateful. And now we're about to get to your real baby reindeer Martha moment.
But also to bring Heather into it, and let me just say this publicly about Heather, who I know personally is an amazing woman, a wonderful mom who has never put herself in the spotlight because that was her choice. She did not want the spotlight. And you have worked for 8 years to keep her and your kids out of the spotlight and the focus on you. And for other people to decide that it's their time to shine with total libelous slander bullshit is so beyond the pale. I mean, we're at the same level here of bringing up Colin, because you have always been, for the 8 years you've been doing this, okay, just like this, I'm going to talk about Scientology. I'm going to tell the truth about it. And, I'm going to interview people. I'm going to bring facts. You have never used your family as a way to garner sympathy, to get money, to, get clicks. They are not clickbait. They never will be. And I admire you so much for that, because there are, let's face it, so many YouTube creators out there that do this whole family thing and this stuff and all that stuff. And Heather has a right to privacy during everything, before, during, after, all this stuff, because she made a conscious choice, which I respect her for, to just be like, that's not my bag. I support Aaron in this endeavor. And, and you protecting your kids is,
So for Stefani to be like, no, it's not good enough that Heather chose not to participate because she doesn't want to be in the spotlight. It has to be because Aaron didn't want her to expose his lies.
Are you joking me? First of all, for those of you who don't know Heather, she's fucking hilarious and amazing. And if Heather had chosen to open a channel, she would have just as many, if not maybe more viewers than you, because she is funny. But that's beside the point.
All right, we got to keep this moving along. Moving along. Now, I know you didn't know everything I queued up here.
Okay, I'm ready. Surprise me.
So I wanted, the fact that she's quoting the wonderful Chris Shelton. I just wanted to show everyone that back in January of 20, was it really just? Back in 2 Januaries ago, January of 2023, I did 2 videos calling Chris Shelton out for some horrific mistreatment of the Jane Does in the Danny Masterson case.
Right.
And I did that at the request of certain people to whom I will forever be indebted. Okay. And I just wanted to show the date on this. January 13th of 2 years ago, jury foreman in the Masterson trial had huge undisclosed conflict. See, Chris Shelton and Tony Ortega had platformed the jury foreman of the first Masterson trial, called Earl Batiste. And they had done an interview with him where he said the Jane Does were completely unbelievable and no reasonable jury would ever find them credible. And they did this interview before the DA, the prosecutor, had announced whether they were going to try Danny Masterson again. And the Jane Does asked Chris Shelton and Tony Ortega, please do not publish this interview until after they've announced the decision to prosecute.
Right.
And Chris Shelton told the Jane Does to go fuck themselves. He blocked them on social media.
Yep.
He blocked their numbers, and he published the interview anyway. And it turned out that jury foreman was working with the defense to try and torpedo a second trial. So I did a video about that on January 13th, 2023. And I did a video about that on January 14th, 2023. And then on January 16th, 2023, Chris Shelton sent me a disconnection text wishing me harm. Okay. I hope it was all worth it. We will never talk again. You'll never know how much you hurt me or probably care. I'd say have a good life, but I truly don't wish that for you. Goodbye, Aaron. Okay. So if you want to know why would Chris Shelton, my so-called senior in the Sea Org, be contributing to Baby Martha, psychopath stalker Stefani Hutchison's blog post about me, is because Chris hates me almost as much as I hate him. Okay. Now here's the thing. In order to set up the next article, Nora, I'm going to show the video that Stephanie recently published of the altercation where I was attacked on the sidewalks of Los Angeles last year. Okay. Now, this is in May of last year when I was in Los Angeles covering the Danny Masterson trial. And keep in mind, guys, me and my wife have been separated since November 2019. That is something that has always been a private matter between me and my wife. Neither one of us ever intended for that information to be public. We were made a decision that we would rather stay together for the kids and live in the same house and have a nice little nuclear thing going on. But we didn't have a real marriage since November 2019. When I was in LA last May, there's a woman I met there, and I was in LA for a month. This is a woman I met. We ended up hooking up a few times. She stayed with me a few nights. They were not consecutive nights. It was 3 nights over a month.
Right.
And I told this story in a fantastic interview. Thank you, Rabbit. I'm sure you might be in the chat. On the Down the Rabbit Hole News channel, I did a whole interview with Rabbit talking about all of this in great detail.
Yeah.
On the last night that she was with me, that morning, I asked her to leave. And I just don't want to rehash all the details because we covered it in the interview. Instead of leaving, she trashed the hotel room. She assaulted me. She tried to destroy my equipment and through a heavy microphone, cut my foot wide open. I was staying at the LA Athletic Club. My professional and personal life flashed before my eyes, imagining the police showing up to the hotel that I'm staying at while in town covering a goddamn rape trial. Okay. And I had to get myself out of that situation and out of that hotel without the police getting called. The only way I got me and this woman out of the hotel was to ask her, to beg her for 30 minutes to help me go to the ER to fix my toe. I had no intention of going to the ER. I just needed to get her out of the hotel. Once we got out of the hotel, I said, let's just walk a couple blocks over and go to the CVS to get some first aid stuff. Now, I had bandaged my toe up. I didn't have bandages. I took 3 pairs of socks and I basically tried to stop the bleed. My foot was profusely bleeding all over the place. Yeah. Anyway, I was injured, but I cared more about getting myself out of the situation than I did about my injury. Okay. We go to the CVS. You guys are going to see why I'm explaining all this. Okay. We go to the CVS. We get the first aid supplies. When we get out of the CVS, I realize, well, I'm still stuck because she's still going to try to follow me back to the hotel. Okay. What's that noise?
I'm muting myself. Somebody's outside with an air blower. I'll mute it.
I got it. Okay. So once we got out of the CVS, I said, and this is entirely consistent with everything I said in my interview with Rabbit. I said, you're not coming back to the hotel with me. I'm calling you an Uber. I'm sending you home. Okay. Because I was the one calling her an Uber on my phone, I was stuck there on the sidewalk with her until the Uber arrived.
Right.
For I don't know, however many minutes. The Uber never got there because there was an altercation that occurred before the Uber got there. I'm keeping her away from me. This is someone who'd already assaulted me, caused me grievous bodily harm. I haven't even gotten into what happened in the CVS. Okay. I wish there was camera of what happened inside the CVS. And I described, I'm getting her off of me. Stay away from me. Don't come near me. Don't come near me. As the Uber was getting closer, because I kept saying, okay, it's 3 minutes away. It's 2 minutes away. It's 1 minute away. She's like, one last hug, one last kiss, one last kiss. I said, do not come near me. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. She ran up behind me, grabbed me by the neck. I took her hand off of my neck and she did a LeBron flop and fell. And very unfortunately fell into the building that we were standing next to. Okay. My priority at that time was not her well-being. My priority was my well-being. And I got out of there. Okay. Now, does it seem a little odd to anybody that the day Stefani Hutchison resigns from the Aftermath Foundation board, she claims to have anonymously received a copy of the surveillance footage of this assault on me and then published it on her blog? Now, she's publishing it on her blog because she claims this video shows me, a 220-pound guy, turning around, grabbing a 100-pound woman, and throwing her into a concrete building. I'm going to show you guys the video. By the way, we're talking about the video because it sets up what Stefani did afterwards. Okay. And so, and honestly, I'm glad, I got to be honest, I'm glad you're here with me for this part. Because this, you know, this is not comfortable.
No, this is, yeah, I'm right here.
Okay. So, I'm going to show you guys, this is a video. I cannot reiterate enough. I cannot reiterate this enough. Stefani published this video because she thinks it shows me assaulting a woman. Anybody with eyes will see that this video shows a woman assaulting me. I'm showing you the video so that you don't have to take my word for it. If you agree with Stefani, that's fine. If you agree with me, that's great. I think it's crystal clear what is happening in this video, and that's why I'm showing it to you. Okay. You can see, by the way, Nora, can you see my cursor on the screen?
Yes, I can see your cursor.
Good. These two people coming into frame right here is me and Juliana Cohen. Okay.
Allegedly. Because you can't tell who it is.
But I'm telling you, it's me and Juliana.
Okay. I'm just saying allegedly, because if you watch the video, I can't see your face clearly.
It's true. I mean, unless I said it was me, you wouldn't know it was me.
Correct.
Okay. So now what's happening here, though, is I've called her the Uber. You're going to see I'm on my phone while she's tugging at my arm. That's why I'm on my phone, is because I'm dealing with the Uber app. Okay. Shit, what am I doing? Okay. Okay, she's pulling my arm. You'll notice I have a white plastic bag in my left hand. Those are the first aid supplies we had just purchased at CVS, that I had just purchased at CVS. She's yanking on my wrist, I'm walking away from her, looking at my phone, saying the Uber is coming over, picking us up over here, or picking her up. It wasn't for us. It was just for her. Walking away. She's grabbing my arm. I'm walking away from her. I shake her off of me. Walking away. She's grabbing me. I'm walking away. Okay. We have to show that again.
Yeah.
She literally runs behind me and leaps onto my back and puts her arms around my neck.
Play it like half speed so you can see.
Because this is straight from Stefani's blog and this is not on YouTube, I don't actually know how to manipulate it that way.
Oh, you'd have to screen record it and then upload it to YouTube, and then you can do that. Anyway.
Now, let me just point out to the viewers, you can see the design on the back of my t-shirt, okay? If I ever turned around, that design would go away. You would see the front of my shirt that doesn't have a design on it, okay?
Correct.
I continue to walk away from her the entire time, even when she falls, because she puts her arms around my neck. So, and in my recollection, I remember grabbing her wrist with my left hand, but it looks like the video shows me grabbing her right wrist with my right hand. And I go like this, and I basically drop her wrist.
You just remove her from your body. That's all that happened.
I just remove her from my body, and she does a LeBron James flop here. Now, I mean, look, I'm moving to the right.
It got away.
Yeah, that's right. I'm moving to the right. She's moving to the left. But the point is, like, Stefani is literally, and you're going to see this becomes relevant at the next part of the Stalker video, the Stalker blog post. Stefani claims that this video shows me turning around, grabbing Juliana from the front and throwing her into the building and then walking away. It shows the opposite of that. I'm walking away. She jumps onto my back. I get her wrist from around my neck. She falls. I never even turn around. Let's do it one more time here.
And then play it all the way to the end, though, too.
Yeah, I will.
There's the jump. You take her off you. Now you're walking. You're not running, as she claims.
I'm not running.
You're just walking the same speed you were walking before. 3, 2, 1. And she hops up. Right there. She's looking for you.
Nope, she's not up yet. That's when she starts screaming.
Now she's up.
And she's sprinting down the sidewalk to catch me.
Running. Full speed down the sidewalk.
She's sprinting. Now, here's actually what people don't know. Here's one thing that people don't know. In the email that Juliana sent to all the foundation board members, and I have the email. I'll be glad to show it to you if I haven't already.
Me too.
No, but she sent a different email to different people.
Okay.
In the email she sent to the board members, she claimed that I beat the living hell out of her,
Mhm.
fists and blood and everything in the hotel room, not on the
Correct.
sidewalk, in the hotel room. Okay. If that, now she's never claimed that to anyone else other than to the board members. That's not what she says publicly, but that's
No.
what she said to the board members. Okay. And you go, okay, if that were true, why is Aaron the one trying to get away from you? And why are you chasing him down the sidewalk? Okay. So that's fine. The only reason I wanted to show all this is so that you can understand this is the video that actually corroborates everything I said occurred.
Absolutely.
And Stephanie's literally, all of her blog posts say, she tells you what the video shows. She says, this video shows a giant man who's trained in jujitsu, turning around, grabbing a 100-pound woman, launching her into a building, and then walking away without any care for her injuries. That's what Stephanie says that video shows. And it's important that we covered this before I showed Stephanie's next blog post. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, so check this out, guys. This is where she goes into full baby reindeer mode. This again was published yesterday. I'm gonna get so fucking angry reading this. Okay. Okay, so what happened is when Stephanie posted this video to Twitter and YouTube and her blog, she was inundated with responses saying, this video doesn't show anything like what you're saying it shows.
Right.
Like, this shows that Aaron was the victim of an assault. You're so blinded by your hatred that you can't even see what the video shows. Okay. All right. So this is what Stephanie did to retaliate against people saying they didn't believe that that video showed me abusing a woman.
Right.
Okay. Just a post to clear up another questionable situation that has arisen recently. After the video of Aaron Asmithlevin flinging a young woman into a wall in downtown Los Angeles was published, there were discussions concerning Asmithlevin's training in Gracie Jiujitsu. As recently as February 24, 2024, Aaron mentions his training having earned a 4-stripe blue belt. He states that due to injuries, he hasn't, as of February, done any training for about a year. Well, on March 2023, he mentions that he'd be surprised if he trained 15 times in the past 2 years. How is Baby Reindeer going back to a video that I did 14 months ago to find comments I made about how often I had trained at my local jiu-jitsu gym? Like, this is a psychopath stalker.
That's a deep dive.
Okay. She goes, either way, he's dedicated to competing. No, what I said, I've competed jiu-jitsu once in my life because I said I wanted to compete at least once at every belt before being promoted to the next belt. White belt is the first belt in jiu-jitsu, and I competed as a 4-stripe white belt. It's my intention to eventually compete as a 4-stripe blue belt. And because that's probably the best way to justify promotion is, hey, I won gold in my weight class and age class at my belt level. I would feel justified in getting a promotion. I'm not dedicated to competing. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, she doesn't even know what she says.
Clearly,
I literally
Elton, she doesn't
competed in
understand
jujitsu once
either.
ever. I'm sorry, what?
I said, clearly she doesn't understand jujitsu either as a martial art. For those of you who are not trained in jujitsu,
No, I don't want to get into the weeds. I don't want to get too far.
It's not even an aggressive form of martial arts where you're like with weaponry and other stuff. It is a true self-defense of using the other person's momentum to.
Well, it's grappling. Grappling. There's no striking. There's no throwing. It's grappling.
That's what I want to point out is that, like, clearly she doesn't even know what jujitsu is.
Right.
To talk about it this way.
Right. Okay. So those who watched the video wanted to know if Aaron had employed his martial arts training against the upset woman he had previously spent 3 nights with in his hotel room. Others, including myself, wondered if jiu-jitsu taught avoidance tactics or gentler ways of controlling such a situation. No, jiu-jitsu teaches you to break arms, break legs, and choke people unconscious. You stupid psycho. Okay. All right. It doesn't teach you how to throw. That's judo. You fucking idiot. Okay. Anything rather than tossing someone into a wall. Many U.S. states have laws surrounding the use of boxing tactics and/or martial arts training during situations that arise, such as the one seen in the now infamous video. Don't give yourself too much credit there.
Yeah.
Reaching out, we received a comprehensive statement from the place Aaron was originally granted his blue belt. In response to her video post, people question whether the video shows me attacking someone or someone attacking me.
Mhm.
Stefani decides to contact my jiu-jitsu gym, a company that has nothing to do with anything, a privately owned small jiu-jitsu school.
Yeah.
And Stefani, baby reindeer psycho, reaches out to find out whether jiu-jitsu teaches aggression or passive avoidance.
No, that's not reaching out. This is paparazzi.
Yeah, just wait, guys. Just wait. A blue belt is the second belt in adult jiu-jitsu after the beginner white belt. Oh, thank you for the fucking lesson, you psycho. The person who responded to me asked that both he and his establishment be kept anonymous. Well, now you guys might be, okay, I'll get this business has apparently undergone 3 ownership changes since Aaron was granted his most recent blue belt. The current ownership has been in place for the last 3 years. Guys, Steph, does she read her own writing?
No.
She just said the last time I trained there was about 1.5 years ago. And if the current ownership has been there for the past 3 years, how could it have gone under 3 ownership changes since I was granted my belt? When I first started training there, the gym was owned by Randy H-O-U-T. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Randy Hout. No, Randy Hout. Randy Hout owned the gym when I started there. Then it was purchased by John Keller. John Keller is still the owner, and I'm going to show you the messages I shared with John Keller to show how Stefani threatened him and harassed him into making statements, distancing himself from me for fear that she was going to name him in an article associating him with my attack on a woman. Now, Stefani in her article says they requested to be anonymous. Yes, but you threatened to name them in an article, which is why he said anything to you at all to make you go away. And he did not know he was being quoted. He did not know that Stefani was going to use his words in the article. He was trying to get this psycho stalker to leave him and his business out of it. And I'm going to show you the messages. Okay. So, okay, by the way, some people might be going, how in the hell does Stefani know where you train jiu-jitsu?
Right.
Because I like to help my friends and lift them up in any way that I can. When I was on the Lex Fridman podcast, I gave a shout out to John Keller and his jiu-jitsu school.
There you go.
Because that's what friends do. And I want to share you that clip.
Because like I do a lot of stuff that's called like jiu-jitsu. Like there's a lot of really close-knit tribes, but there's no negative toxicity to it. There's no divide. There's no divisions. Or if there is, it's more, boy, try being a fan of a certain soccer team and then becoming a fan of another soccer team.
That's hardcore.
And like,
but I'll tell you, I train jiu-jitsu as well. And I have found that community of people to be one of the most loving and helpful group of people ever. Shout out to John Keller, Gracie Barra Clearwater. No, but seriously, like it's one of the reasons I continue to do it. Okay. The reason I'm upset right now is because John Keller is one of the nicest, sweetest, most gracious, caring people I have ever known. And I don't even know him that well. I would have called us friends. I do call us friends. He's been to my house before. He's come to one of my barbecues. He's told me what a fan he is of the channel and the movement and all of this. And when he bought the gym from the previous owner, one of the reasons that he did is because the previous owner ran the gym and he fostered a very competitive environment in a way that resulted in new students getting hurt. There was a group of students who trained at the gym who were very aggressive competitors. And in other words, that is what they were training for, was to be competitors.
Right.
And they were not there to help new people learn. They were actually there to a lot of them seemed to take joy in hurting new students. And to be honest, I was one of those new students that they took joy in hurting. And meaning just because I was a new student, not because of anything to do with me.
Right.
And it's not a healthy way to train jujitsu. Jujitsu is a young man's game, but it's also some of the best exercise you could ever get. It's unbelievably, it's insane. Like, it's just, there's nothing like it. And John Keller wanted to build a gym that was family friendly, kid friendly, welcomed new people. He wanted to build it into a successful thing, not a place where trained killers come to abuse the new students. Okay.
So he took it from like Cobra Kai to like, Mr. Miyagi.
Yes, that's exactly what he did. And so what you have is this psychopathic, obsessed stalker preying on a kind, gentle guy who just wants to build a school to help people. Like, the camaraderie in jujitsu is second to none. I mean, I'm sure it's like the softball leagues that, guys do for some reason, and I've never had any interest in that, but like, I imagine the camaraderie is similar. And so imagine you have this psychopathic stalker calling you up and threatening to name you and your gym in an article about someone who hasn't even walked through the doors of your school in 15 months.
Right.
I haven't even been I've been paying my $120 monthly dues every month anyway, because in my heart of hearts, I know that if I stop paying, I'll never go back. But if I keep paying, one day I'll go back. Okay.
Right.
Imagine his position of basically being threatened and harassed and intimidated by this fucking psycho. Of course, he's going to distance himself from me and what Stefani claimed I had done, which was horrifically abuse this tiny little woman on the streets of LA in the middle of a Thursday morning, or the early Thursday morning. Okay.
But I do want to just say one thing here real quickly, Aaron, that this is very serious, because this is where the fourth wall is getting broken in a very vulnerable and like you've said many times, psychopathic way, because this is an environment that you found after leaving Scientology, after, starting to deprogram yourself, where you found purpose, you found joy, you found a community. And as recovering people, survivors of cults, that is so hard for us. It is so hard for us to trust anybody, to be like, oh, these people are really my friends. Like, I'm safe here. I'm not going to get asked to, no one's going to lock the door. Like, I have autonomy. And you had that with John and with this dojo. And
it's not a dojo. It's not a
gym. Yeah. But she just, shat all over it. And
that's right.
It is a violation of you and that space that was yours. And it's not just her calling some random business owner that you're homies with and you guys go get a beer at the pub. This is a violation of your safe space. And it is so egregious and so beyond like a mild disagreement with you on the internet that it is dangerous. Like, this is now, in my personal opinion, she is dangerous to all of us, not just to you, but to you in particularly right now, but she is dangerous to do that. And I want to say that, I'm so proud, again, so proud of you for sharing that vulnerability here, because, you have always done nothing but build up other people. You built me up, everybody in the SPTV community, but also real people, I'm not like I'm not real, but like the people you go to places to frequent, the pubs, the restaurants, the places in Clearwater that like wouldn't make it if people like you weren't like, hey, you should go eat at Bob's. It's awesome. I love it. Their fries are the best. Or like, this gym is the best. It saved me. I love it. It's great. So that's how every small business survives, is somebody telling more people about it. And that's all you've ever done. And she's trying to literally come in there in the dead of night and strip that from you. And it's gross. It's absolutely grotesque.
And it's an effort to make me feel unsafe in my home area.
Correct.
Okay, so let's see. She then quotes, without his permission, by the way, He goes, first, I can't emphasize enough how little Aaron has trained here, especially since I took over. And that's true. Most of my training occurred before he bought the place. I think he might be overstating his training a little bit. Now, he could only be responding to, I'm assuming, overstating how often he trains. But clearly, Stefani didn't make it clear that I haven't been there in well over a year, which I've said in my videos. Okay.
Right.
After looking at your, because he doesn't want people online to think he quit jujitsu. Now, look, we don't know the email he's responding to. Okay.
Right.
It's possible he came in for a class since I took over, but I'd really have to think about it. That's how little I've seen him. He got his blue belt from 2 previous owners ago. That's how removed he is from me. Now, here's the thing. People might be going, hey, if this guy's your friend, why is he saying this? First of all, when I say friend, I consider everyone's my friend, and I still consider John Keller a friend. But you have to understand, this is a guy who's been to my house once. I've probably trained 20 or 30 times under John, but you have to understand, John's trying to distance himself from me so that this psychopath won't name him in an article about a woman getting abused. Right. Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to show you the messages between me and John. Okay. He goes, in jiu-jitsu, students learn how to protect themselves without hurting anyone. Well, now that's not true. I mean, you are, okay. But anyway, it doesn't matter. About that. They learn to never attack someone. Well, that's true. You're not supposed to initiate an attack. No. Of course. But that's fine. It also states, if it's necessary in jiu-jitsu against an adversary, the practitioner should still use self-restraint. It's fine. It doesn't matter what John's saying here. He's just trying to get psycho baby Reindeer Martha to go away. Okay. But then it says here, okay, it would appear that what transpired in the CVS pharmacy video in Los Angeles had nothing to do with either the ethics or the physical practice of jiu-jitsu. Yes, Stephanie, no one has ever said otherwise. Okay. Rather, it's a violation of everything taught by this branch of martial arts. Okay, this is just insane. So check it out.
Conjecture and bullshit.
Because of this, the spokesperson responded to the video and said, Aaron getting a blue belt has nothing to do with what he did in the video. That's true. With that being said, now that we are aware of this incident, we will not allow Aaron back to train at our school if he ever decided to come back. Okay, so the reason Stefani did this was just so that she could say the following. Thus, for all of those who continue to defend the actions shown in the video, as you can see, not everyone thinks what Aaron did is okay. That was her entire point of this whole stalker operation, was to find someone who would say, what Aaron did in that video is wrong.
Yeah.
She had to stalk and harass and intimidate and threaten the owner of my jiu-jitsu gym to make her point that someone agrees with me that Aaron was the bad man in that video.
Right.
And what she doesn't tell you is that she basically threatened this person into saying this. Okay. Okay. So the next thing I'm now going to show you my messages with John Keller.
Okay.
Okay. Because he's the one who said what Stefani did. Now, admittedly, guys, I was pissed off when I saw the article. Even then, I'm a little glad that I wasn't a total asshole to John. Okay. So my message, this is on Facebook. I was shocked to read a blog post today where you issued a statement saying I would not be welcome back at your gym. I've continued to make my monthly payments to the gym for over 15 months that I have not even attended because it's always been my goal to come back. Now your statements are being used in an effort to publicly embarrass me by someone who's been trying to publicly embarrass me online for a year straight. Needless to say, John, you can immediately cancel my future payments. And then I sent him a copy of Stefani's blog post. And then I sent him a copy, just evidence of all the monthly payments I've made in the last 5 or 6 months. And I said, and while you're at it, go ahead and refund the payment that is still pending for this month. And he responded pretty quickly. He said, Aaron, hey, I have to start teaching a class. This is not what I intended. Of course I can issue a refund. Please let me message you after class and we can talk more. The lady put me in a position where she was going to name our school in the article. And I didn't know what to do. I can explain more soon. I have not been in this position before. Yeah. And I said, I understand. We can talk. This is what Scientology does to people.
Yes.
This is what Stefani, with her mental illness and her stalking abilities, put her stalking skills to good use when she was doing it with Scientology. But now she's doing it to former Scientologists and to people who've never been in Scientology. Okay. He then and then he messaged me later and said, I did not know she was going to quote me in this article. She made me feel like I was in a position where I either had to distance myself from what you did and denounce what you did, or she would name and shame the school. So I just had to be honest and say, yeah, I haven't seen you for class that much at all. And I don't teach an aggressive style of jujitsu, which is totally true.
Correct.
John, and by the way, there's not an aggressive style and a non-aggressive style. The thing is, he doesn't let people train in a way where you hurt your partner accidentally. He wants people to train in a way where you're there to learn. You're not there to win. And that's what I appreciate. I appreciate training that way. So I know what he's saying in his message when he says that.
Yeah.
Okay. So he then goes to say, again, I'm really sorry about how this turned out. I was worried about what she was going to say about the school, and I was afraid of backlash coming back to me. I hope you are able to do what you need to do. And then I told him that I was going to be doing a video about this. And I did say to him, I just couldn't wait any longer for a response. I said, look, I'm going to do a video about this. I'm happy to use this as an opportunity to promote the school. You've done nothing wrong. The school's done nothing wrong. You're basically being harassed by a psychopath. And I said, look, here's Stephanie's email. If you want to email her and say, hey, what you've used me. You threatened me. I felt like I had no choice but to say what I said to get you off my back. I said, look, if you send her that email and you want to copy me on it, I'll be happy to do another video about that or use that email in my video. And he just hasn't responded to my message yet. But guys, John Keller and Gracie Barra Jiujitsu Clearwater is the best place you could possibly train and the best jiu-jitsu coach you could possibly have. There's a reason why I promoted his school on the Lex Fridman podcast. You could not find a better coach and a better group of people. So since this psychopath is trying to stalk and harass and intimidate me and anyone associated with me and trying to intimidate and harass John Keller and Gracie Barra Jiu-Jitsu, if you're looking to get into shape, you need some exercise. You've always wanted to find out what jiu-jitsu is all about. Go to John Keller at Gracie Barra Jiu-Jitsu in Clearwater, and you will not regret it. There you go. Now we're going to have some fun, Nora, and I'm glad you're here with me for this.
I'm much excited.
Since Stephanie wanted to take the video that Scientology had Juliana Shape do about me and send that video to Chris Shelton and say, hey, Chris, was anything in this Scientology hate video about Aaron true? And then Chris Shelton was like, oh, yeah, it's true. Aaron's a big pussy. Why don't we take a look at the Scientology video that they made about Stefani Hutchison? Did you guys know Scientology? Did you guys know Mike Rinder's daughter did a video about Stefani Hutchison? I've already gone through this and made timestamps. We're only going to watch a couple minutes of it. Okay. But then Nora, once this video is done, I'm going to ask you whether any of this is true, and then we can talk about it.
Let's do it.
All right. This is Taryn, Mike Rinder's daughter. And here we go. First, we're going to listen to 29 seconds.
This is Taryn with Justice for Mom. And I'm here.
I'm playing this at 1 1/4 speed.
My next video, exposing Mike Rinder and his use of vulnerable people and mentally unstable people to do his dirty work, to spread hate, and to continue to spread disinformation about my mom, who's the victim of his domestic violence. He damaged her and abused her, and using these vulnerable people to attack me, his daughter.
Okay, good. Now we're going to jump forward to the 52-second mark, and we are going to watch 90 seconds of this.
And then I won't get into the full story here, but just to give a little bit of an idea, I was in Australia with my grandmother, which is Mike's mom. The place where she was living at that time, it was an assisted living facility for elderly people.
That's not where I wanted it.
And so we were on vacation.
Is it 150?
In Take City, and gets her to let him in. That was very not cool. If there's someone unstable like this lady or anybody else that he's used, and he can take advantage of them, he will. And that leads me into the person that I'm going to speak about today. Her name is Stefani Hutchison. She's 54 years old. She lives in North Carolina. And she herself states that her family has a history of mental health issues. And this is who Mike Rinder uses. Honestly, while her attacks are sad, they're very malicious. And stating that my mom, who was abused by Mike Rinder and damaged for life, is faking it. When there's MRIs, there's x-rays. I saw the blood. I was there. I see my mom every day in pain, unable to use her arm, and injured for the rest of her life by Mike Rinder. So another way he's used Stefani is to take her very unhealthy infatuation with him and get her to do a large social media attack and a hate campaign attack on my social media accounts. And why? Well, because Mike Rinder does not want the truth known. He doesn't want the truth known that I put out on my sites and on my social media accounts about his abuse of my mom, his harassment of my brother, how he spreads hate, not only about his family, but a lot of other people too. And the fact that he's getting away with it.
All righty. Now, for the record, Mike Rinder did not abuse his wife. But here's what's interesting. There was an actual altercation that occurred that was not Mike Rinder's fault.
Yeah.
He was the victim. Scientology has created an entire online campaign to paint him as a wife beater.
Yeah.
When he was the victim. How fucking ironic is it that Stefani Hutchison is doing the exact same thing to me, and Mike's own daughter is calling Mike out for using this mentally ill, deranged, psychopathic stalker for going after the people Mike wants to go after. See, here's the thing. That is what Mike's doing with Stefani Hutchison.
Yeah.
Even though Mike Rinder did not abuse his wife, Stefani Hutchison is being used as a weapon by Mike Rinder. And that's the facts.
It's 100. I mean, but just watching Taryn makes me sad, period, because I knew her when we were young. And to see her reduced to propaganda videos is so sad. It's just that's the way I describe it. But her description of Stefani, 100% accurate. This, and you are correct. This story that they fabricated, and of course, her mom famously saying, "I know every inch of Mike Rinder's body," to fucking Anderson Cooper, during that interview. That all of the ex-wives, it was like they dug up everybody's ex-wife, even though they had remarried since these people left the Sea Org, and put them on display for CNN because nothing plays better than, battered wives, right? Scientology is willing to admit that happened, but not anything else,
It was so disturbingly sexual when they kept saying they know every inch of their body. I kept being like, at least say 6 inches. Come on.
Right. But also, that's private talk. That's not for Anderson Cooper. That's not. And even he, during that part was like, okay, that's odd. No one who's a victim of domestic violence and things like that has ever spoken the way that these women spoke during that interview. It was it was completely a hostage video for them. There was a Sea Org member standing behind Anderson Cooper, just staring them down.
By the way, this morning in Marilyn Honig's video, she showed the email evidence where Mike Rinder even called Juliana Cohen a crazy woman.
Right. Yeah. Even Mike Rinder acknowledged that she was cuckoo cuckoo. So, and that was evidence also last night during a live where she claimed I did a weird drug I'd never heard of. I had to Google it, Whippets, and said something about me going to a sex shop or something.
Yeah. By the way, I can't help it, Nora. I can't help it. I have to let everyone know that Mitch Brisker and Katherine Olson, two people who are being paid by the Aftermath Foundation, showed up on a stream last night.
Yep.
Where Juliana showed up on a stream that included Juliana Cohen, the crazy girl that you can see attacking me on the streets of LA.
Yep.
Mitch Brisker and Katherine Olson have been supporting Stefani Hutchison's attacks, not just on me, but on all the other SPTV creators.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've never met Juliana. I received an email from her after the thing in LA, and I responded back to her just because I felt like she was cuckoo, and I was like, I don't understand what you're saying. What are you trying to tell me about? And then I got a whole bunch of other emails that I never responded to. But to watch her on that stream, and all of them just want to say how fat I am. Like, okay, great. I already know that I'm fluffy. Maybe I should get into Gracie Jiujitsu. I should get into some form of exercise. But it's like, okay, so what? So you're going to body shame me? That's the biggest thing that you got, that I'm fluffy? Okay. I'm happily married. I'm good. Everything's fine. Relationship status unlocked. Like, I'm good. But it's stupid to me that like they're going to try and like send me into some sort of spiral by accusing me of doing weird drugs, which I literally had to Google, guys. I'd never heard of it. And as Aaron knows, I'm the most vanilla person on the planet. Like,
what was it that Juliana said last night randomly? She's like, Nora does whippets.
And I was like, what is that? And I literally said to my wife, do you know what a whippet is? She's like, it's a dog. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's a dog. But like, apparently it's like the little canisters of, I had to Google this, the nitrous oxide, and then people huff those. First of all, I would never, ever do that. I had an accident with the CO2 canister that you have to screw on to make the whipped cream, or in my early days of being a barista, and I burnt like my hand with that. So like, I would never. That just seems stupid. And also, I've never done hardcore drugs, guys. I had a bite of a pot brownie once, full disclosure.
Well, just for the record, even if you were doing whippets, that's not a hardcore drug.
No, but I know, right? Like, it's still like stupid out of all the drugs to do. Like, guys, I just found out I have ADHD. There's a shocker. And can you imagine me on like cocaine or something like that? It would not work. It would not go well for me. So I don't do that stuff, Like, I don't need it. This is it. This is my one vice, as Aaron has known for the past 30 years. It's Coca-Cola.
For a long time, my vice was Diet Coke, but I've managed to wean myself off of that.
That's good. I need to work on it. But it's like, it's clear that this campaign, where it's originating, where it is stemming from, is... Go ahead.
Here's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Stefani Hutchison has done more damage to the Aftermath Foundation than anyone and anything ever.
Correct.
Ironically, Stefani only started these unhinged attacks on me and anyone she considers to be my friend after Mike, Mark, and Claire, and whoever else voted her on to the Aftermath Foundation board.
Yeah.
This was so crazy because the pretext for voting me off of the board, at least initially in the meeting, was that I had done a video criticizing attorney Graham Barry. Mm-hmm. Without ever mentioning Graham Barry's name. I did a video that in retrospect was a little unfair to him. I was doing the video as a favor to a friend. And I never said his name.
No.
But in the meeting, Mike said, I moved to have Aaron removed from the board for violating our ethical policy based on his video of Graham Barry. I said, wait, what ethical policy? A policy they voted in without my knowledge. But my point is this. Even in the meeting, when I was explaining why that explanation didn't make any sense, they very quickly said, it doesn't matter because it's not just that, it's this and it's this and this. And we're sick of people thinking that we can control you and people coming to us to complain about who you've pissed off now. So I know that the Graham Barry video wasn't the reason they removed me. It was just a pretext. But the point is, it was still the pretext. And for Stefani to be attacking everyone else. By the way, Graham Barry does not work for the Aftermath Foundation. He doesn't get paid by the Aftermath Foundation. No. He has no affiliation with the Aftermath Foundation of any kind whatsoever, other than
he's a private attorney.
Well, when we would be contacted by people who wanted a refund, we would be like, we know a great lawyer, the only lawyer who's good at that. You should go to Graham Barry.
Right. But
Graham Barry doesn't have any affiliation with the Aftermath Foundation. Some people are confused about that. Okay. So the only reason Stefani was able to keep doing these attacks is because Mike Rinder told her it was okay. Because those attacks violated the code of ethics that the Aftermath Foundation had adopted. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Stefani resigned from the board a couple weeks ago in shame and disgrace. But the thing is, she threw the Aftermath Foundation board members under the bus when she did so, because in her resignation letter, she insisted they didn't want her to leave and didn't ask her to leave.
Right.
So basically what you're saying, Stefani, is that they were okay with what you're doing. That's what you said to the world by using those words.
Yep.
They were okay with what you were doing. Here's where I'm going with this. If Mike Rinder told her, you need to stop this, then she would stop it. She's only doing it to make mommy and daddy, that's Mike Rinder and Leah Remini, happy. She's only doing it because she thinks that it will get her clout points in their eyes. If Mike Rinder said, Stefani, you need to knock it off. Like, everyone knows, like Mike could go, hey, Stefani, everyone knows that you would stop if I told you to stop. And the fact that you haven't stopped makes it obvious that I haven't told you to stop.
Right.
So I need you to fucking stop, because we don't want to keep getting attacked just as much as Aaron doesn't want to keep getting attacked. And you're the one kind of keeping it all going. So could you knock it the fuck off? You're kind of making this space disgusting.
You would think that would be the logical thing to say, to be like, okay, enough. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Let's redirect your focus to Scientology and to David Miscavige, or, whatever topic they want to, harp on. That would be a better use of her time and talents. Right. Exactly. But instead it's like, oh, no, please carry on. Please. I love.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, again, it's one of these things of, does she even read her writing? Because in her resignation letter, she made it clear that her continuing to blog the attacks that she's been attacking for the last months was inconsistent with like the mission and the values of the Aftermath Foundation. And you go, yeah, but Stefani, that means someone would have had to come to you and tell you that and say, we can't have you continuing to do that while being on the board. Like, but so it's not consistent with her saying they didn't want me to resign. They didn't ask me to resign. Here's how I interpret it. Yes, Stefani, because what they said is, we'd rather have you on the board and stop attacking. But if you're going to keep attacking, that's okay. You just have to leave the board, so that just like with Aaron, people can't come running to us and complain about your behavior. So I understand they tried to create distance, but it's still, everyone knows, Stefani, that if Mike told you to stop, you would stop. So as long as you keep doing it, everyone knows it's okay with Mike. And as long as everyone thinks it's okay with Mike, people are going to direct their attention at the person who actually matters, which isn't you. It's Mike Rinder. So keep doing your friends this great disservice by continuing to attack and smear me and harass and stalk and intimidate people associated with me. Keep doing that, because you're hurting your friends and the Aftermath Foundation more than anybody else could ever dream of.
Yeah.
100%. Just so everyone knows, Natalie Webster at Life After a Cult is about to start an interview in 3 minutes with Phil Jones. That ought to be interesting, because Phil is another board member who just resigned from the Aftermath Foundation, and I'll be fascinated to see if he's got anything to say about it. I'm guessing.
I mean, I don't know that that's exactly what they're going to talk about. Hopefully we do find out, because I know a lot of people asked me, hey, do you know why Phil left? And I did get an email back from him. It wasn't about that. It was just thanking me for shouting out his channel. Which, guys, just as a note, Phil Jones and his wife, Willie, are been crusaders for years now, trying to end disconnection as a policy, as a practice in Scientology, by trying to get reconnected with their 2 children who are still there. God, now their son's name is gone out of my head, but Emily is their daughter. She's at Author Services, where they print all the books, and she goes to book fairs all the time. And then Craponomica, I worked with their son. Now I can see his face, and I can't. Mike Jones. So, and Mike is at Celebrity Center as like a, he's basically crew for the production wing there, because they have their own private production wing that like sets up the sound and lights and everything for all the big events and everything that happen. So he's been doing that for years and years. P.S. Mike Jones, one of the nicest people I ever knew in the Sea Org, just very much like Phil. So I love them both very much. Go for it.
The reason I announced that Natalie's interview is going to start is because I have this live stream set to auto redirect to her interview. So if you're in here right now, as soon as I end this video, YouTube is automatically going to send you right over to Natalie's interview. And that would be a real nice big surprise to have that many people. And we've got almost 5,000 people watching right now between my channel and Nora's channel. Nora,
Perfect.
I love doing videos with you again.
I do too. I miss this. We're a good team. We're a good team. Yesterday's stream, guys, if you didn't see that, I felt like my wife was like, "You were so Rachel Maddow," and that was like the sexiest thing she's ever said to me. That I was like Rachel Maddow.
All right, we're at the final countdown here. I don't want to.
Check that out.
Natalie already postponed her interview so that we didn't step on each other here.
Okay.
Guys, thank you for hanging out with us.
Yes.
Thank you for staying in for the long haul. Thank you, as always, to everyone who watches until the very end, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right